Aisha stood at the airport gate, heart pounding with hope and fear. She was 26, young, beautiful in a quiet way and deeply faithful. Her hijab wrapped tightly around her head, her hands trembling slightly as she held her boarding pass. Behind her, her mother clutched a small prayer book. "Inshallah," Fatima whispered. "You come back to us." Aisha gave a small smile. "I will," she promised. "I'll bring healing for Abba and support for my brother." Fatima pulled her into a tight hug. "You are strong," she said, "but stay careful. Not all doors open to freedom. Some open to chains." Aisha nodded, but inside, she believed this was her chance. Her father had been growing weaker by the day. Medical bills piled high. Her younger brother, blind since birth, needed care no one else could give. So when the job offer came, working in Dubai with high pay and comfortable living, it felt like barakah, like Allah had answered their prayers. The flight took hours. When she landed, the city shimmered under the sun. Tall buildings, golden lights, and a driver waiting with a sign bearing her name. He greeted her warmly, then led her to a car headed not toward an apartment, but toward a palace. Aisha's breath caught. "This is where I'll be working?" she asked. The driver gave a small nod. "Yes," he said, "a house of honor. You will live well here." Aisha smiled. She thought she had found heaven. But soon, she would learn that even palaces can become prisons, and that beauty doesn't always mean safety. Because behind those golden walls, 6 men were waiting, and they saw her not just as a maid, but as something more, something theirs. If only she would agree. Aisha stepped out of the car and into the palace courtyard. The air was thick with heat, not just from the sun, but from something else, something she couldn't name yet. She was greeted by a servant who led her inside. The halls were lined with gold. Marble floors gleamed beneath chandeliers that felt like they belonged in stories. She was shown to her room, soft silk curtains, a bed wider than her whole home back in the Philippines. "This is too much," she whispered. The servant gave a small nod. "You are not just any maid," he said gently. "They chose you for more than work." Aisha frowned. "What do you mean?" The man hesitated, then left without answering. And that's when she realized. There were no other maids, no cooks, no cleaning staff, just her and 6 brothers. Over the next few days, Aisha learned the rhythm of the house. She cleaned quietly, cooked meals, tidied rooms fit for royalty. But the brothers watched her differently, not with kindness, with interest. Each one passed by slowly. Some lingered near her as she worked. Others offered her gifts, perfumes, silks, even jewelry. One evening, Sheikh Omar, the eldest, called her into the sitting room. He poured tea with calm hands. "You are beautiful," he said gently. "But more than that, you carry something rare." Aisha kept her eyes lowered. "I'm here to serve," she said. "Nothing more." Omar studied her carefully. "We know," he said, "but we also believe," his voice softened, "that you belong here." Aisha swallowed hard. "To clean?" she asked. Omar gave a knowing smile. "No," he whispered. "To be cared for. To live freely. To choose your place among us." Aisha didn't understand at first. Then came the silence. Heavy, full of meaning, and suddenly, fear curled in her chest. Because this wasn't just a job. It was an offer, an invitation, and she knew she had to be careful. Because beauty doesn't always bring honor. Sometimes it brings danger. And now, she was surrounded by it. That night, Aisha couldn't sleep. The room was too quiet, the palace too still. She lay beneath silk sheets, heart pounding with something she couldn't name. Fear, doubt, unease. And then came a knock at the door. Soft, careful. Aisha hesitated, then opened it slightly. It was Maggie, a fellow worker from the kitchen. Her face was pale, her eyes tired. "Can I come in?" Maggie asked gently. Aisha stepped aside. Maggie closed the door behind her. Then she whispered, "You don't know what you've walked into." Aisha frowned. "What do you mean?" Maggie looked around. making sure no one was listening. Then she said, "They don't bring women like you here for work. They bring them for other things." Aisha's chest tightened. "I'm just a maid," she said. "That's all I am." Maggie shook her head. "No," she whispered. "You're more than that to them. They see beauty, and they want control." Aisha felt her hands tremble slightly. "They haven't done anything," she said. "They only offer kindness." Maggie gave a small, sad smile. "It starts that way," she admitted. "But it doesn't end there." She studied Aisha carefully. "How long have you been Muslim?" she asked. Aisha blinked. "All my life." Maggie nodded slowly. "Then hold on to your faith," she said. "Because they'll test it." Aisha swallowed hard. "What happened to the others?" Maggie hesitated. Then she whispered, "Some left broken. Others never left at all." Aisha's breath caught. Maggie reached for her hand. "You're strong," she said. "But strength means nothing if you don't know what you're facing." She met Aisha's eyes. "They want to own you," she added. "Not just as a servant. As something deeper." Aisha felt tears sting her eyes. "I didn't come here for that," she whispered. Maggie gave a small nod. "I know," she said. "That's why I'm warning you now. Before they make you forget who you are." Aisha sat across from Sheikh Omar in the palace study. A room filled with books, silence, and something heavier. He poured tea slowly, his expression unreadable. "You are different," he said gently. "Most women would have accepted our offer by now." Aisha frowned slightly. "What offer?" Omar met her eyes. "To live here, in comfort. No cleaning, no cooking, no suffering." Aisha's heart pounded. "I came to work," she said firmly. Omar gave a small smile. "And you will," he said. "But not like before. We can give you more than wages. We can give you peace." Aisha blinked. Then she whispered, "I already have peace." Omar leaned forward. "We know your story," he said. "Your father is sick. Your brother needs care. You're carrying everything alone." Aisha stayed quiet. Omar continued, voice calm. "We can pay for treatment," he offered. "We can support your family. All we ask is that you stay." Aisha swallowed hard. "Stay?" she asked. "As what?" Omar hesitated. Then he answered honestly. "As one of us." Aisha felt ice crawl through her veins. She stood quickly. "I'm not for sale," she whispered. Omar didn't react with anger, just understanding. "We don't mean harm," he said. "We mean to provide. You could choose any of us. You'd never want for anything." Aisha shook her head. "I belong to Allah," she said. "My body, my soul, my future." Omar studied her face. Then he said, "And if you refuse?" Aisha looked at him. "I go home," she said. "That's my right." Omar exhaled slowly. "Yes," he admitted. "But sometimes, leaving isn't so simple." Aisha's chest tightened. Then she turned and walked away, because even in golden rooms, she had just been offered something darker. And she knew, this wasn't about kindness. It was about control. Back in her room, Aisha closed the door behind her. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. Her phone buzzed, a message from her mother. "How are you, Habibi? Are they treating you well?" Aisha stared at the screen. Then she replied, "They want me to stay, but not as a maid." She didn't send it, couldn't, because fear gripped her throat. What if they found out? What if they decided she couldn't leave? The next day she avoided the brothers. But Sheikh Laith, the youngest, found her in the garden. "Aren't you happy?" he asked. Aisha looked up. "With this life?" She gave a small nod. "I am grateful," she said carefully. "But I did not come here for luxury." Laith tilted his head. "Then why are you really here?" Aisha met his gaze. "To serve," she said. "And to return home." Laith studied her. Then he whispered, "You think you'll be allowed to leave?" Aisha swallowed hard. "I know I will," she said, "because I still have faith. And no one can take that from me." Laith didn't answer right away. Then he said, My brothers don't take no well. Aisha nodded. I know, she whispered. But I also know. She reached into her pocket and touched her tasbih. They can't own my soul. Laith looked surprised. Then he said, not all of them want that. Aisha raised an eyebrow. Laith added, some only want to test you, to see how long you hold onto yourself. Aisha blinked back sudden tears. Then let them test, she said. I won't break. And somehow saying it aloud made it true. Because even surrounded by wealth, even trapped in beauty, she had something they couldn't buy. Faith, strength, and a love for Allah that no gold could match. The brothers didn't stop. They came to her each in their own way, each with their own offer, and each testing her differently. Sheikh Khalid, the second oldest, was the first to try kindness. He found her in the kitchen one evening, quietly making tea. You're not like the others, he said gently. Aisha looked up. What do you mean? Khalid studied her carefully. They come for money, he admitted. They take what's offered. But you, his voice softened. You carry something deeper. Aisha met his eyes. I carry faith, she said. And that means more than any gift. Khalid gave a small nod. Then he whispered, you don't have to say no forever. Aisha exhaled slowly. I already did, she said. And I will again. Khalid smiled faintly. Then may Allah keep you strong. And with that he walked away, not as a threat, but as someone who understood. Even if only slightly. Sheikh Jafar was next. He approached her during prayer time, standing just outside the door as she bowed in silence. Afterward, he waited. You pray like it's your home, he said. Aisha raised an eyebrow. It is, she replied. Jafar stepped closer. We can give you more than prayer, he said. We can give you everything. Aisha wrapped her hijab tighter. I already have what matters, she said. My family, my faith, my dignity. Jafar gave a knowing look. Those things don't pay hospital bills, he pointed out. Aisha met his gaze. No, she agreed. But my choices do. Jafar studied her. Then he said, you'll break eventually. Aisha swallowed hard. No, she whispered. I won't. Because she had made a promise, not just to herself, to Allah, and she would keep it, no matter how much they tried to change her mind. Sheikh Malik was the most aggressive. One afternoon, he cornered her near the garden. You keep refusing us, he said, arms crossed. Why? Aisha didn't flinch. Because I'm not here for that. Malik smirked. You think this is about choice? He asked. You think you're free here? Aisha met his eyes. I belong to no man, she said firmly. Only to my Creator. Malik leaned closer. That makes you foolish, he muttered. Aisha didn't move. Or brave, she whispered. Malik studied her face. Then he said, we'll see how long that lasts. And Aisha knew. This wasn't just about temptation anymore. It was about control, about power, about whether she could hold onto herself when the world tried to pull her under. Sheikh Nabil, the fourth brother, barely spoke at all. He watched from a distance, until one night when Aisha passed him in the hallway. He stopped her with a quiet voice. Aisha. She turned. Yes. Nabil hesitated. Then he said, I used to believe women like you were rare. Aisha tilted her head. What kind of woman am I? Nabil looked at her. The kind who doesn't bend. Aisha blinked. Nabil continued, voice low. I've seen others, he admitted. They stayed. They accepted. But they lost themselves. Aisha swallowed hard. And now? Nabil gave a small nod. Now I see you. And I understand why you won't leave. Aisha met his eyes. Will you let me go home? Nabil didn't answer right away. Then he said, I hope so. And somehow that was enough. Because even in this house of gold and secrets, she was still seen, still heard, still herself. Sheikh Laith, the youngest, started asking questions. He joined her during late-night prayers, watched as she read from the Quran, listened without interrupting. One evening, he sat beside her on the garden steps. You really won't accept anything they offer? He asked. Aisha looked at him. I already have everything I need. Laith frowned. But you live in fear. Aisha nodded. I do, she admitted. But I also live in faith. And that gives me strength. Laith looked down at his hands. Then he whispered, I don't think I've ever met someone like you before. Aisha studied his face. Someone who says no? Laith gave a small smile. Someone who means it. Over the days, the pressure built. Gifts appeared on her bed. Notes slipped beneath her door. Moments where she felt trapped, watched too closely. But through it all, she held firm. Because she remembered her father's breath growing weaker. Her blind brother waiting for her return. Her mother praying behind closed doors. And most of all, she remembered her purpose. To serve with dignity. To live with faith. To never trade her soul for silver. Aisha changed her routine. She woke before far not just to pray, but to hide. She moved through the palace quietly. Avoided eye contact. Stuck to the servants' quarters when she could. But they still found ways to reach her. One morning, she found a gift on her bed. A gold bracelet with delicate writing in Arabic. She read it carefully. You are meant for more than silence. Aisha swallowed hard. She wrapped the bracelet in cloth and returned it. With a note, I am meant for faith. And that is enough. No name attached. Just truth. The brothers tried again. This time through letters. Each one wrote something different. Some offered love. Some offered control. Some offered what felt like a trap disguised as kindness. One letter stood out from Sheikh Omar. Dear Aisha, you remind me of someone I once knew. Someone who carried faith like armor. You don't need our riches. You already have peace. That makes you rare. And powerful. Another came from Laith. You're the first woman I've ever met who doesn't want anything from us. And that makes me question what we've always believed. I shall read them all. Then burned them. Because she couldn't let their words pull her under. She had come here to serve. Not to be served. Not to be owned. Not to forget who she was. Only to hold on to herself. Even when the world tried to take that away. One evening, Aisha found herself alone in the garden. The brothers had gone out. The house was quiet. She sat beneath a tree, Quran open in her lap, whispering verses into the night air. Then came footsteps. Not hurried, not soft, but deliberate. She turned. Malik stood behind her. His eyes were unreadable. Aisha closed the Quran gently. Can I help you, Sheikh Malik? He stepped closer. You keep refusing, he said. But we all know how this ends. Aisha didn't flinch. I don't think it does, she whispered. Malik tilted his head. You believe you'll leave here untouched? Aisha met his gaze. I do, she said firmly. Because I carry something you can't take. My faith. My dignity. And my purpose. Malik studied her. Then he asked, why do you care so much? What do you gain from suffering? Aisha looked down at her hands. Suffering isn't always loud, she said. Sometimes it's silent. Like choosing to stay strong when everyone expects you to fall. Malik stayed quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, what if I told you no one would blame you? If you gave in? He hesitated. No one would call you weak. Aisha blinked back tears. That doesn't matter, she whispered. What matters is what Allah sees. And He already knows my heart. Malik frowned slightly. You really believe that? Aisha nodded. Yes, she said. And that's why I won't break. Malik watched her carefully. Then he took a slow step forward. Aisha didn't move, didn't flinch, just held onto her faith like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Finally, Malik exhaled. You're different, he admitted. The others, they fought with fear. But you fight with belief. Aisha looked up at him. I'm not fighting, she said gently. I'm just standing firm. Malik gave a small nod. Then he turned and walked away. Not in anger, but in silence. As if something inside him had shifted. And Aisha felt it too. Because she hadn't won through force. She had won through presence. Through prayer. Through unwavering belief. And somehow, that changed everything. Because now even Malik understood. This woman wasn't breaking. No matter how hard they tried. Laith began asking questions. Not just to Aisha, but to himself, to his brothers, to the world he had always accepted without doubt. One afternoon, he found her in the garden again, reading from the Quran beneath the shade of a tree. He sat beside her without speaking. Aisha glanced at him. "You're not here for answers," she said gently. Laith blinked. "No," he admitted. "I'm here because I don't understand. Why you won't accept anything we offer. Why you'd rather suffer than live with us." Aisha closed the Quran carefully. "Because I already have everything I need," she said. "My purpose, my family, my faith." Laith looked down. "And that's enough?" Aisha met his eyes. "It has to be," she whispered. "Because I won't trade who I am for what you give." Laith stayed quiet. Then he asked, "Do you believe Allah sent you here?" Aisha tilted her head. "I believe he brought me through every step," she said. "To remind someone like you," she paused, "that there's more to life than power." Laith let that settle in his chest. And somehow, it changed something inside him. Over time, Laith started visiting Aisha more often. Not with offers, not with gifts, just with silence, with presence, with questions about the Quran, about prayer, about how she held on to peace when the world tried to shake it. One evening, he arrived as she was praying. He didn't interrupt, just watched, quietly, carefully. When she finished, he spoke softly. "I've never seen anyone pray like that before," he admitted. Aisha raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Laith hesitated. "Like they truly believed," he said. "Like they weren't just going through the motions." Aisha gave a small smile. "That's because I do believe," she said, "in something deeper than this world." Laith swallowed hard. "Can I learn?" he asked. Aisha studied his face. Then she nodded. "Yes." And so it began. A secret lesson. A quiet journey. A sheikh learning from a housemaid. Aisha started small. She whispered surahs to herself in the quiet hours of the night. She read verses aloud while folding laundry. She taught Laith how to pray, carefully, slowly, with meaning. And then came the others. One evening, a soft knock came at her door. It was Maggie, the kitchen worker. "I've seen you," she said gently. "With Sheikh Laith. He's changed." Aisha blinked. "You're not here to warn me again?" she asked. Maggie gave a small smile. "No," she admitted. "I'm here because I want to learn too." Aisha hesitated, then opened the door wider. Maggie stepped inside. Then she whispered, "I used to believe faith was weakness. But watching you," her voice softened, "it made me question that." Aisha reached for her hand. "You can still find it," she said. "Allah is near. He answers when we call." Maggie gave a small nod. "Teach me," she said. "I want to remember what it feels like to be free." The secret grew. One by one, other servants came to Aisha, curious, broken, looking for something they had lost. She taught them quietly in the servants' quarters. No lights, no cameras, just soft voices and open hearts. They learned how to pray again, how to recite surahs that brought peace, how to believe in something more than survival. And somehow, it changed them all. Even Laith. He started praying with her, reading from the Quran, asking questions about faith like he was searching for something deeper. One afternoon, he found her in the garden. "I've been thinking," he said, "about what you told me. That faith isn't just belief. That it's strength." Aisha looked at him carefully. "And what have you decided?" Laith met her eyes. "That I want that strength too." Aisha gave a small smile. "You already have it," she said gently. "You just never knew where to find it." Laith exhaled slowly. "I think I do now." But not everyone welcomed the change. Malik noticed Laith's distance, his quietness during late-night talks, his absence from their usual gatherings. Then he saw it. Laith sitting beside Aisha, not with offers, not with pressure, with an open heart. Malik approached later that night. "You're wasting your time," he muttered. "She won't accept you. She doesn't want anything we offer." Laith didn't flinch. "I don't want her acceptance," he said. "I want her truth." Malik frowned. "What truth?" Laith looked toward the garden. "The kind that comes from belief," he whispered. "The kind that makes someone unshaken." Malik studied his brother. Then he said, "You're being foolish." Laith gave a small nod. "Maybe," he admitted. "But I think I'm finally seeing clearly." And somehow that made Malik hesitate, because he had never seen someone resist their world through faith before. Only through fear, only through pain. But Aisha? She resisted through peace, through prayer, through unwavering belief. And now, even one of them was starting to change. The tension in the palace grew. Aisha's quiet resistance had become something more. She wasn't just refusing their offers anymore. She was changing hearts. And that scared them more than defiance ever could. One evening, Omar called her into his study, not alone. All 6 brothers sat around the room. Aisha walked in slowly. Then she stood before them, silent, still, unbroken. Omar gestured for her to sit. She did carefully. Then he spoke. "You've been here long enough," he said gently. "We see how you live, how you hold on to yourself." He looked at his brothers. "We understand now," he added, "that you won't accept what we offer." Aisha met his gaze. "I already told you," she whispered. "My heart belongs to someone greater." Omar gave a small nod. "And yet," he continued, "you have changed us." Aisha blinked. She hadn't expected those words. Omar looked around the room at his brothers. Then he said, "We used to believe power meant control. But you showed us it means something else." Khalid cleared his throat. "She taught me humility," he admitted. "The kind that doesn't come from wealth." Jaffer gave a tired smile. "She made me question what I thought was strength," he said. "It turns out, it isn't about taking. It's about standing firm." Laith finally spoke. "She reminded me of faith," he said. "One I didn't realize I was missing." Aisha listened, heart pounding, because this wasn't what she had expected. Not rejection, not anger, but understanding. Malik stayed silent longer than the others. Then he leaned forward. "You never gave in," he said. "No matter how many times we tried. That makes you stronger than any of us." Aisha swallowed hard. "I only held on to what mattered," she whispered. Omar studied her face. Then he asked, "Do you still want to go home?" Aisha nodded without hesitation. "Yes," she said. "My father needs me. My brother depends on me. I came to serve, not to be trapped." Omar exhaled slowly. "We'll make sure you leave," he promised. "In safety, in peace." Aisha felt tears sting her eyes. "And my family?" she asked. Omar gave a warm smile. "All your debts will be cleared. You can return freely. No chains." Aisha closed her eyes briefly. Then she whispered, "Alhamdulillah," because she had fought with silence, with prayer, with presence. And somehow, she had won. Not through force, but through faith. The morning came quietly. Aisha stood in her room, packed the few belongings she had brought, and some she had earned through faith, not gold. There was a knock at the door. She turned. Laith stood there, dressed simply, not like a sheik, but like someone who had changed. "You're leaving today," he said gently. Aisha nodded. "I am." Laith hesitated, then stepped inside. "I wanted to say thank you," he whispered. Aisha raised an eyebrow. "For what?" Laith met her eyes. "For reminding me of something I never knew I lost," he admitted. "Belief, peace, faith that doesn't come from power." Aisha gave a small smile. "I'm glad," she said softly. "And I hope you keep walking this path." Laith swallowed hard. "I will," he promised. "And I'll make sure no one forgets your story." Aisha looked down at her hands. Then she whispered, "I only did what was right." Laith studied her carefully. "That's why it mattered." At the airport, Omar waited for her. He handed her a sealed envelope. "This is enough to cover your father's treatment," he said. And support your brother for years. Aisha blinked back tears. I didn't ask for this. Omar gave a small nod. No, he agreed. But you deserved more than we offered. Aisha looked at him. Thank you, she whispered. Omar met her gaze. And thank you, he said, for reminding us. He exhaled slowly. That some hearts cannot be bought. That faith is stronger than fear. That dignity has weight. Aisha smiled faintly. I only stayed firm, she said. That's all any of us can do. Omar gave a warm nod. Then may Allah guide you home. And with that he walked away, letting her go. Without pressure. Without control. Only peace. Back in the Philippines, Aisha returned not just with money, but with scars. Not physical, but silent ones. Of fear. Of temptation. Of choices made in darkness. Her father greeted her with trembling hands. I prayed for this moment, he whispered, that you'd return to me whole. Aisha pulled him into a tight hug. I did, she said. In body, in soul, in faith. Her mother cried as she held her daughter close. I feared they'd change you, Fatima whispered. Aisha met her eyes. They tried, she admitted. But Allah kept me strong. This is more than a story about survival. It's about strength. About faith that doesn't break under pressure. About a woman who stood firm in a palace of power and changed hearts without ever giving in. Aisha didn't fight with force. She fought with silence, with prayer, with belief. And in doing so, she proved that true dignity cannot be bought, only carried, only chosen, and only protected through faith.